Okay, the next item on our agenda is to consider and act upon approval of the minutes of the Board of Directors meetings held on December 10th, 2015 at 5:30 p.m., December 10th, 2016, I think it's supposed to be 2015, at 6:30 p.m., and December 16th, 2015. The December 16th, 2015 minutes are not here, so we're going to make the motion on the first two.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Director Rivera, and a second by Director Rogers. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is to consider financial, bookkeeping, cash flow, and investment reports and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including authorizing the payment of invoices presented or shown in such reports. Okay. Now, Tom.
Okay, I brought a supplemental report this afternoon, or actually emailed it. If anyone had any questions on it, I'd be glad to answer those. I'm going to go over it briefly. Stop me if you have a question. If you look over on page 2, you see your account balances. You have total in your operating fund of $7,931,224.59. The only changes from your original report are the tax pool account. We moved $600,000 from your checking account to your tax pool, and then the checks that are written tonight reduced the amount in the Plain State cash account there. All the rest of the accounts and funds are the same as they were on the first report. The bottom line, $9,950,221.46, is different for your grand total, and that shows on page 3. The transactions on page 4 for your money market is that transfer of $600,000 and then the Plain State Bank CD interest that was deposited to the tax pool as well of $359.01. On page 5 is the additional checks that are presented today. Most of them are for the Fire and Ice Festival, so that's why you see so many. Your beginning balance was $942,255.98. Your total disbursements is $713,1.62. That shows on page 8, leaving the $229,254.36 in your checking account. And the rest of the report is the same, other than any December invoices that might be added to your budget versus actual, because it is for the month of December. And that is all that I have, unless you have questions.
Anyone have any questions? Okay, we would need a motion then to accept and approve.
I make a motion that we accept the bookkeeper's report as presented.
Okay, motion by Director Hesson, second by Director Pearson. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Thank you, Kenny. The next item is to consider adoption of resolution adopting list of qualified brokers authorized to engage in investment transactions within the district. Good evening, David.
Good evening. Under your investment policies, you are required, and under state law, you're required to annually review and adopt a list of authorized brokers. To come up with the list, which I've passed out to you, it basically started with last year's list, and then municipal accounts provided the revisions for financial institutions that are no longer in existence or in the marketplace, and to add those that have come into the market and are available to use. As always, I recommend that you adopt the largest list possible to give your bookkeeper the most flexibility in investing your funds. And the only caveat being that if you have a relationship with one of these financial institutions that would create a conflict of interest, then you would want to delete that one from the list. But otherwise, I recommend you adopt the list and put it away for another year. Questions?
Okay. Any questions? Okay, so we would need a motion to adopt.
Make a motion we adopt the list as presented.
Okay, thank you. A motion by Director Martin and a second. You got a second. Okay, thank you. Second by Director Carlisle. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is to consider status of Constable Patrol Security Program at shopping centers within the district during the holiday season and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
And I thought either Barry or Rowdy was going to be here this evening, so they may have got hung up with something. Right. And once again, have you got a report?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about it. Very good.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to speak here tonight, for the opportunity for the extra patrol services. These are not final numbers by any means. These are a brief overview of what we've done this year and also as a comparison to 2012, so you can see where we've come. 2012, we worked 34 days of extra patrol and 296 franc. This year we worked 91 days. We took about 70 calls in 2012. We responded to 207 calls this year. The important numbers to me though, and the chief that we noticed were, in 2012, we apprehended 26 shoplifters. This year, we apprehended 31. It wasn't because we missed a bunch, it's because there were less compared. We made 36 misdemeanor arrests in 2012, 40 misdemeanor arrests this year. The one that I think is critical to the businesses in the area and the really stated purpose of the extra patrol is we were able to conduct 71 business checks in 2012 over those 34 days. This year we conducted 864 business checks, which means that we were making sure these places were secure, responding to any alarm calls, a lot of which were malfunctions due to the weather, but nonetheless we checked them out and made sure they were secure. We patrolled about 1,420 total miles in 2012. This year we patrolled 7,822 total miles. And that includes vehicle and bike patrol. These are not the final numbers. We don't have felony arrest numbers with the final statistics because the extra patrol doesn't actually end until tomorrow. But we really feel like this partnership is working and it's making a difference. Cops talk, crooks talk, the community talks. People are starting to understand that during the holiday season we're going to be out here in force. And I know that just numbers aside, as a patrol officer who's been out here for the last 6 years working that area during that time of the year, just felt this year was one of the first years where I went, and they're starting to get the message that we're going to be here.
That's correct.
So that was it, and we really appreciate everything, and looking forward to continued partnership.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
You might say, but how many arrests did y'all make?
We made 40 misdemeanor arrests. I don't have the number for the felony arrests, but Chief Welch will be putting together a complete statistical report following the ending of the extra patrol tomorrow.
Was the shoplifting down quite a bit this year?
Compared to the number of days we worked, the number of calls we took, absolutely. Yes, sir.
We appreciate what y'all did.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to consider the status of request for Montgomery County Emergency Services District Number 7 to amend the existing fund agreements and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
And on this item, you guys have probably had a workshop last month. One of the things that came out of that, and several of y'all had contacted me before this meeting, one of the things to get to a point is assembling all the information and going through a good decision-making process. And once we have all the data gathered, then analyze that, and then we're ready to go forward and make a decision. Y'all had talked and mentioned a couple of things to me. First off was maybe have Kay or Catherine or someone with municipal accounts go through and do an analysis for the last 3 years, and then maybe work into some potential projections for the next 3 years for the fire district, and then bring that back to you guys to take a look at, and actually give you some hard financial numbers to look at from that perspective. And so that was one of the things that you guys had mentioned and recommended, that maybe have them prepare a report for you guys for the next board meeting to look at and give you some actual data to look at. So that was kind of where you left it with me. So if y'all would want to instruct her to do that, she can begin that process and get something back to you before the next board meeting.
Is there, did anybody have any questions to ask since we have fire department representatives here, ESD representatives?
I just had a couple things to add. Due to scheduling conflicts, I wasn't here in December, so I haven't had a chance to even look at that proposal till tonight. But the one thing I wanted to add is, however we move forward, we're all excited and looking forward to trying to help you all the best way we can. I personally and the board, we don't want it to turn into us versus you guys or you versus us, because I don't feel like anything gets accomplished like that. We're here to support you and the community, and we're looking forward to moving forward and doing that. That's all I have.
Any questions? Stephen, did you want to answer any questions?
Is there anything that we need to consider that we need to know right now that you can add?
Jan or the chief, would y'all like to come up?
Trying to decide.
You lose the coin toss or what? I just want to get the opportunity to add anything.
You know, I really don't have a whole lot to add. The notion that I received from this board was that we left you with some questions. You know, we certainly want to be able to answer any questions that y'all may have. And you know, the proposal, it was a lot of information in a short period of time. So a lot to absorb, and we've had some questions that have been answered one-on-one, one of which was today. Jan was asked how much, she contacted me, wanted to know how much of our district is EMCID doesn't cover, which is 13.79 square miles of our 144 square mile district. So it's a great question. And I get used to that number because old ESD 11 has territory that I wasn't really used to. So old ESD 7, I knew right where it was. So 911's a great partner in Conroe. They helped us out with that, as they normally do. So nevertheless, you know, the information is you know, there's a lot to it, and you know, the board, my board has given me authorization to answer any questions anybody has. So
I'm going to ask you two things. First, the old ESD 11, does it have any area of that 13 that is outside of the district, or is that all ESD 7?
No. So old ESD 11 has 1 square mile.
Okay.
That was not an EMCID, according to Montgomery County 911. So that made it a total of 13.79 square miles.
One other question I did want to ask. Y'all provided us with the funding needs assessment, and it had the layout of the amounts and where they needed to go, the total figures. And the only question I wanted to ask is on the, there's a lease vehicle. There's a lease vehicle, F-150.
Okay, that's I guess a pickup. I'm not sure, but all of our vehicle purchases are what's called lease purchases.
So are they leased to buy?
You lease, you fund it for 10 years, and after 10 years, then it's our vehicle. So by law, we can only fund vehicles for 10 years. And they're called lease purchases. So you make a once-a-year payment to the financial institutions, and that's commonly what they're referred to.
And is this particular vehicle, is it equipped with all of the fire, all the safety bells and whistles that it needs in order to be a fire? I mean, I'm assuming, is it a safety truck? Is it a?
So I'm guessing,
It's a Ford F-150.
Okay, that would have to be the truck. I mean, that's the one I drive.
Okay.
So yes, ma'am, it has computer equipment and all that.
So does the lease cover all of that equipment, or is it just the lease on just the vehicle
It's
itself?
just the vehicle. Okay. We purchased and paid for the other equipment separately. So.
Okay.
I had one other question. What's the reasoning behind, I haven't seen a proposal asking for 25 years.
What's the reason for the 25-year request?
Yeah, for the
you know, in 2009, when ESD 6 and 7 met with the improvement district, we were instructed that there had to be a timeline placed on any contractual agreement. That's where the 25 came from, to answer your question. So in 2009, the contractual agreement with the 2 ESDs was for 25 years. So that, you know,
okay.
We figured that's really the way the improvement district wanted it. So that's where it came from.
Some of this would be showing that you have the revenue to be able to secure funding for debt services or something like that. Am I understanding that right?
So the funding, most of the funding is for assets. Well, it's all for assets. So, you know, to replace equipment, you know, we have to periodically, I mean, fire trucks don't last forever. So they generally have a lifespan of about 10 years due to wear and tear. You know, but you know, other vehicles, the smaller vehicles like the pickup truck that you were talking about, generally they have a lifespan due to mileage. We have vehicles well over 100,000 miles right now, 115 on average. So, of course, in your business, you understand. I mean, it may say 115,000 miles on it, but that's, you know, we run emergency traffic in those vehicles, so generally you have to add mileage on top of it. So I've always been instructed it's current mileage times 3 with the wear and tear you put on the engines. So.
Got one other question. When we had our meeting with the fire board, y'all told us that there was a fire truck that was down, had been down.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been repaired and back in service yet?
No, it's still sitting at Fostoria at 59. So, you know, the parts, you know, that is a fire truck is Kenworth. Unfortunately, it's parts manufactured in Canada, and we have that truck back in service right now. No, we do not.
Do you have any idea when it will be back in service?
I asked my district chief every week. I've been out of town this week. I came home yesterday and I was hoping to see it at the fire station, but it wasn't there. So I put a call into them this morning, and they're expecting the parts this week. Is the only thing the repair people can tell us. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any?
Just one thing. Those 2 agreements that you mentioned a second ago, they got that 25 years from, those agreements are for tax reconciliations, what I kind of refer to as pass-throughs. We collect that, we give it back to the ESDs. That doesn't include like an annual payment. That's my understanding,
Yes.
which is a little different from the agreement or the request that you guys have made. Because I echo what Scott said. We want to do everything we can to be supportive and help with the fire department.
Sure.
Where I get concerned is when I start writing checks 25 years out, and my son's got to pick up the tab for those things. I mean, it's not the fire department. It's a 25-year commitment to anything. Ask my wife. I have problems with commitment. I mean, that's the issue for me here. It's not, you know, if you're going to spend money, the fire department's probably the best place I can think of. But it's that 25-year commitment for X number of $100,000 that always just concerns me. And I know it's expensive to do what you guys do.
The only thing I could counter you with is let us know what your thoughts are. If 25 is just unfeasible, I mean, for the improvement district, what would you consider? The contract we have right now has 19 years remaining. So the one that was signed in 2009 has 19 years left on it. I mean, so there's options. I mean, and we're certainly willing to listen.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that was the last thing. So, did I misread our last agreement, or because the amendment says, consider status of a request from Montgomery County Emergency Service District 7 to amend existing funding agreements. I was under the impression that we really didn't have an agreement because the agreement had been terminated because of mutually agreed upon financial benchmarks had been met.
ESD 7 had 2 contractual agreements with the improvement district. One originated in 2007.
Right.
The last amendment to that contractual agreement was in 2009.
Right.
There is a second contractual agreement for ESD 7 that was created in 2009.
Which is the one we just essentially satisfied.
And there's also 2 contractual agreements still existing for old ESD 11. One was created last year, and the other one for the old district was created in 2009 also. So when I reference existing or remaining, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, you've got several contracts between old ESD 11, 2 from ESD 7, and you're looking to simplify that, combine them.
That's correct. There's two from old ESD 11 and 1 from old ESD 7. So post-election, one of the things that our board thought it would be more prudent would be to combine and put those together. So that's kind of what drove some of this discussion with the improvement district. At the same time, caught by surprise was the 2007 contract, which expired in September. We never really expected to hit the threshold number that was on that agreement, to be honest with you. I kind of was budgeting things 5 years out, thinking that I had 3 more years on that contract, because that contract was set to expire, December of 2018. So when we're doing strategic plans, that's what kind of threw a monkey in the wrench for us, if you will. So.
And that was due to everything, the prices going up, people moving out here.
Yeah, property values, yeah. I mean, we knew it was going to go up a little bit. I mean, Tooele, great community, great development, my friends would. We just didn't know those brand new Dollar Generals were going to raise it up so high in our district. So.
And there's more to come. Just wait.
Oh, we want a Walmart, sir. We're fine on Dollar Generals, but thank you.
I look forward to the day that you don't have to come here, that you have a surplus.
Hopefully it's before I retire, sir.
Well, one last thing, you mentioned strategic planning. And since we're talking about a 25-year agreement, could you talk for a second? Because I have no clue what this would look like. What is the process that fire departments go through when they're talking about strategic planning at 25 years? I mean, do you bring folks in from the outside? I know you have a board, but do you bring in community?
So
what does that look like?
Great question. Our original strategic plan was created in 2007 after I was hired by the ESD. Unfortunately, that strategic plan was built around the development of EarthQuest. So when EarthQuest decided not to happen in 2010, pretty much, because the fund was a funding resource that drives a strategic plan. So when we figured that funding wasn't going to be available, it pretty much nulled out that strategic plan. So we went to a 5-year strategic plan at that point. In fact, the proposal that y'all were presented was based on a 5-year strategic plan. And to answer your question, Dale, what drives that is asset replacement, delivery of service, new fire stations, and things of that nature. We have a property out of EMCID district at Pickering at 1485 that we're in real need to construct. I mean, I've had experts come in and tell us that, I asked, hey, when are you going to build that fire station? So the problem is the funding that was to go for that area is now having to be used in other locations of new ESD 7. So when we had the election going on in May, when an ESD 7 resident in Rowan Forest asked me, Chief, are you taking revenue from old ESD 7 and spending in old ESD 11? I could tell him at that point in time, no. I can't tell him that anymore.
It's because you're one.
Well, yes, ma'am, it is. Yes, ma'am, we are. But the funding that we had set aside for what we refer to as 7A, we're having to use in other portions of the district. It's kind of what I was getting at. So, but strategic plans are a real necessity for fire district boards to not be hit by surprises by fire chiefs. In 2017, we need to replace 2 tankers. The average cost for a tanker is $600,000 a piece. So strategic plans are set forth for planning for that purpose, to replace equipment, if you will. So that way I'm not hitting them without knowing about it, so.
Have you ever considered applying for CDBG money?
I've been asked that question a number of times. The last time, I think it was back in 2012, when we made contact and I was told that we were not eligible as a special purpose district. So we're not a nonprofit, we're a governmental entity. So to answer your question, ultimately, no, sir. We apply for grants all the time. We just applied for one for new air packs. The air packs, the firmware going into buildings. Again, strategic plan, they have a shelf life of 10 years. And Splendora's SCBA's, if you will, are pretty substandard compared to what we use and what Porter's used for years. So, and that's got a price tag replacement of about $254,000. So we've applied for multiple grants to help pay for air packs. The old fire chief, Ray Baden, he helps me out with grant applications. Some of them are pretty tedious.
What kind of revenue do y'all receive from the city of Splendora?
We don't receive any revenue from any municipalities in Montgomery County. We only receive ad valorem.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay. So the ad valorem, the tax base, if you will.
What kind of money comes in from the city of Splendora?
I don't know that question.
Okay.
Isidore. I don't know what kind of money it is for any of the 4 municipalities that we serve, to be honest with
That
you.
may be something the bookkeepers could provide us with
Yes.
from the, okay.
Well,
So would we have a workshop within the next month, then looking at the historical data and future forecasting? Is that feasible within a month, or will it need a workshop, or will it be an agenda item with an information packet put together?
I was just trying to get something to give, Kay time to bring it back to you by the next board meeting. Give her that time to assemble it, put it together. If you have any additional questions, send it to her, and then she just assembles it all for you guys to review, to take a look at. So that was kind of, a couple of y'all recommended that to me, and, assemble all the data, you analyze the data, and then you're ready to make a decision. But let's get all the data put together and analyze it and go from there.
Good.
Okay?
Do you know the number difference before you reach that ad valorem amount? I guess it was last year, and the difference between last year's ad valorem and this year's ad valorem?
so 2014 compared to 2015.
Remember what that number was?
757, and when I was talking to Catherine the other day, she was going to get with an auditor because she wasn't for sure when she went back and read the information that we actually met the 850 in the timeline that they were referring to, because it jumped from 757 way up, and it will, in losing the 300 from y'all, would make a matter of when they were calling for the roll, when they take the taxes. That's what I'm trying to say. When they do the tax value. The certified, yes. Yeah, because it was in 14, 757. So she said it depended on when they were asking for 15s. Was it in January, or would it have been in December that we would be operating on 15s? It was a question for her right there, the way she read that. So she was going to check into that.
What is y'all's fiscal year? What does it run?
October the 1st.
Okay.
But when you say 75, does that mean 100?
750
700.
million is what it was, and 850.
So what was the difference?
Well,
That was the difference, the 700.
it was 757 and 14. And then when they looked at it, back when they did y'all's audit or something, it had jumped up to like 954.
Okay, so the difference would be 200.
AM.
Yeah.
That's a change, right?
Sixes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, it did really catch us unaware that it took such a large jump.
The ad valorem taxes vary throughout the year too. When you
Right.
protest or there's anybody that comes in and, you know, files for disability that didn't before, it will vary throughout the year, so that will affect it. It's not always just what the actual certified value in that tax levy at the beginning of October. It will be adjusted throughout the year.
Yeah, that's right. That was an answer to your question, Brenda, about what it was. Yeah, Catherine said it fluctuates every month, really, according to what people, the tax rate is and what's discounted and so on and so forth. So it does fluctuate,
And you get 10 cents of that.
yes.
So you're talking 75,000 or no, 7,500.
6,000,
That's the income.
That was for 2014, 757,000.
yes.
With their 757 million.
Is that value or the income from the tax?
It's their 1%.
So 10 basis points of that one day.
Okay, so that's actual dollars we're talking, that they get.
No, sir. Oh. Well, that Jan's right. She's the numbers lady, so. Need to know how much fire truck costs.
So you're 100,000 in the hole, is what it is.
Do we need to make this a motion?
But what?
I think, you know, if you just want to give her instructions and she, you know, go do your thing, you know.
Let me check first. Does anybody else have any questions for the chief? Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think we would give instructions to the bookkeeper to give us the data together and let us as soon as you can, and then we can go over that and then make the decision from there.
And I'll get with you and find out exactly what you want to see.
You didn't take notes? No, I didn't.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I have an idea of what you want, but if there's more specific things, if y'all would email me and let me know exactly what you want to see, it would probably be a better report for you.
Great. Thank you.
I want to say that fire and rescue is definitely very important to me, and I do want to come to something that will help you guys.
Absolutely. Okay, the next item is to consider approval of proposed modifications to community grant program and application documents.
Two items for you guys to take a look at. If you recall at our retreat, if you pull out your supplement package that's got the clip on it, I think the first thing on top is what Katie had put together with the financials. Pull out the stuff with the clip on it. I think we're about got you there, not quite.
The financial.
All right, there you go. Pull that out, and then beneath there, take the financial report off.
Take your clip off.
Unclip it. Take the financial report off.
When it's been instructions.
There we go. And then the next thing you'll find is the proposed application. Some of the criteria you guys want to do and going through the evaluative process is, first off, create a mini grant program for very small grants, which is a one-page application. Sometimes our applicants are looking at this huge application, they're overwhelmed, they're like, holy cow, I got to fill out these forms for all this money, and you know, it's just too much for them to kind of grasp and get through. So some of the criteria you ask for, first off, you wanted a mini grant program, and then you kind of wanted to redo the existing program within the parameters that we have. But first off, let me talk about the mini grant first. That's the first page, the one-page application you have. It is strictly a $5,000 grant. It's a mini grant. It's a one-page application, which you have in front of you here. And all the applicant does is, once again, identify themselves as a nonprofit entity that's looking for additional funding, and they can complete a one-page application for a very small grant of $5,000. So as an example, if you recall, like the Boy Scouts. You know, this is a perfect example of something the Boy Scouts can slap together real quick. They filled out like 11 pages to buy a Pinewood Derby track. You know, it's just, you know, organizations like that, there needs to be a simpler process to go through. So that was one of the things that we looked at. So the first thing you've got is a one-page, $5,000 grant application. If you all are comfortable with that, then we'll begin this starting next month for the applicants to get it put online so anyone can go out there and go through that process with a one-page application. The second criteria that we talked through and you guys had recommended was, once again, the regular grant program that we have is unlimited, you know, as far as not a dollar amount. What we discussed at the retreat, some parameters to look at is grants are available up to $30,000. And this is in the second packet of information you've got for the grants. So it's available up to $30,000. Taxing entities, anyone that's receiving tax revenue, either sales tax or property tax, there's a matching requirement of at least 50%. And if you're a non-taxing entity, then the match requirement is a third, just as we have right now. So those were some changes that you guys wanted, and wanted those programs put together. So they're kind of two programs instead of just one now. You got a mini grant and you got a regular grant, and those are limited to $30,000 for the regular grant. So these are the applications that we put together, and once again, you guys will need to, you know, approve these forms for us to get them up on the website. Additionally, there's another piece of information this evening that David will be talking through in regards to House Bill 1295 that went through. That's included the language in here that for applicants, if they want to apply, then there might be some requirements for them to comply with House Bill 1295, and that's later on our agenda this evening to talk through. But the forms all comply with the changes with House Bill 1295. In addition, they comply with the instructions that you guys want to do to change the grant program to accommodate mini grants and regular grants. And so they're here for your approval that we can put up on the website and then have individuals apply for our May funding. So that's what we have for you.
I'm trying to make sense of number 6.
Number 6.
Criteria.
Okay, as an example, you may have an organization that would have applied for a EMCID grant and they received money from, say, CDBG. Well, they get through the CDBG cycle year and the Fed cuts back on CDBG and then the county's notified and those funds are not available. They might be utilizing those CDBG funds as their match. So instead of them getting their $50,000, they're going to get $25,000. So if their match is reduced, then our funding would be reduced also if it's a 50% match or if it's a third match based on what they do. So in the event someone's funding is cut back, then we reduce a pro rata dollar share. And that's only happened, you know, gosh, I think maybe twice that I can recall. And in both those instances, they went out and raised private funds to make up the difference and then the project went forward.
Okay.
So that's an example of something that could happen. And that's the reason it's written that way, that it identifies that on the front page, you have been informed that, you know, if you have a match requirement and you lose your match, then our balance of funding will go down pro rata with the loss of your match. That's the reason it's on there.
Or you can make up the match somehow.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's just providing them on notice on the front page that if there's an issue, you know about it ahead of time and you're not surprised.
I think you captured our wishes well, at least in my opinion, in these two different forms. So I move that we approve the modifications as presented.
Okay, is there any, we have a motion by Director Pearson and a second by Director Martin, and is there any questions, discussion?
What I wanted to bring up that I think was pretty important on these mini grants, they're not required to match with any money.
That's
up to the $5,000.
That's correct.
Any other discussion?
I got one. Is there any way, or I don't even know if it's practical or not, to make it an online application? This is an online?
They can print the form out, but once again, they need to bring the document in, sign it and present it. It's not going to be something you can send electronically. Because then all of a sudden, if we get 50 applications and we have to make 13 copies, I got somebody standing at the copy machine for half a day.
That makes sense.
So if you want to apply, bring me 13 sets and we'll get you processed that day. And
It can be a fillable
right.
form online that you can type online, but you still
Just
have
hit
to
print.
print.
Yeah, you still need to bring it in. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving this? Unanimous, thank you. I think that's a great change. Okay, the next item is to consider authorizing a funding program by the district to pay costs associated with elected officials training within Leadership East Montgomery County program.
And this was another initiative we discussed at the retreat this year, as far as an effort to reach out. You know, we can always look at programs across our community and see where cities are maybe struggling with things, or maybe organizations that have elected officials could be struggling with opportunities and maybe not have all the training that they may need to fulfill their duties as an elected official. So one of the things that we talked about at the retreat you guys had discussed was, what can we do to provide some additional training for elected officials across our entire district? So one of the initiatives was, well, we have Leadership East Montgomery County. This program is slated to start up in September, and in doing so, to provide the funding for elected officials that are within our district that are elected, and they can go and attend that training, and we would pay $250, which is going to be the amount for them to attend the training. And then additionally, we want to allocate about $5,000 to support the program and get it up and started. Leadership East Montgomery County has been around for a while. It went away for a couple of years. It's just a tool that, you know, we can help some of these other entities hopefully make good decisions. And they have some training, and they get introduced to the folks that can help them make good decisions in going through and managing their cities and other entities. So this was an initiative that we talked about at the retreat, and this is a program to Leadership East Montgomery County. Like I said, once again, would I think benefit our entire community. And then we're allocating $5,000 and then $250 for those elected officials to attend the training. In looking at the training, we would want no more than half the class. If the first class is, say, 15, we would want no more than half of that class to be elected officials. Because you don't want to have a class of just nothing but elected officials. You want to have a diversity of those of you that have been through the leadership programs. You want to have a diverse group of people and not everyone having their own, everyone's thinking the same. You want diversity there to throw out new ideas and new ways of doing things. So with that in mind, we want to make sure that the class enrollment, you know, at least half of the class is no more than elected officials. And some of those constraints are in place. And talking to the folks running those programs, I think we can implement that. And this would just be a tool we can use to reach out to our other communities. So that's kind of where we ended up as far as an idea with our retreat.
Is this class open to anyone that wants to go?
Yes.
Yes, the class is open, but our funding is only for elected officials. Correct. Yeah, but the class is open to...
Anybody wants to go?
Absolutely. And we want, you know, once again, we want individuals to attend. They just want to learn more about East Montgomery County and, you know, how it functions and operates, and be introduced to the key players, and so they know who to call when there's an issue. So I think those are all good things.
When we first started East Montgomery County Leadership Program, Montgomery County leadership was opposed to us. But our selling point to them was we had to identify our leaders in East Montgomery County before we could bring them to the big picture of Montgomery County. They accepted that idea because I was on the inaugural class of Leadership East Montgomery County. And since then, things have changed in East Montgomery County. Years ago, we never saw our elected officials on the side of the county. Now we do. Why? Because the face of East Montgomery has changed immensely and will continue to change with the progress this board is doing, and the leadership is coming out of the different entities that are out here every day.
Okay, is there any other discussion on
I
this?
do have a question. I know this came out about, this was a one answer out of the question, is there anything we can do to help the municipalities? Also, so this isn't going to be the last thing we're going to do to help. This is just one program that came off the top of our minds to help.
Again, keep bringing ideas.
Right.
You know, you guys give us direction, give us instruction, and we'll go implement the programs. That's easy. Give us direction.
This is our effort to assist. So
Sure.
I'd like to see that continue.
Yeah.
And also, we also have strong department heads that might benefit from the training, like city administrators, chief of police, stuff like that. Would that be? It says elected officials. Is that where we're going to limit it, or are we going to go with your city administrators too, like chief of police?
You guys, here you are.
I'd like to see, because those are the
Give us
guys.
direction.
those are the guys that are putting in 40, 60 hours a week running their department. So,
Do all of the cities in East Montgomery County have city administrators?
no, well, the chief of police is a city administrator, but he or she's only over a
So
department.
Splendora,
Splendora,
Wood Branch, Patton Village?
I think the mayor at Village acts as it. I think Roman Force is the only one's got an actual city administrator, but I'm talking about like the chief of police would be a good one.
Well, it's a great idea, so maybe we word it something along the lines of elected official or their designee.
Well, I think that they'll train everybody.
But you only get
I'd
some
like to
more.
leave it as.
One at a time.
Yeah. I'd like it to be more like department heads and like elected officials or something.
For me, I think that would be a great idea as long as each city is benefited equally.
Right.
So if one city doesn't even have, a city administrator or, everybody's got a chief of police, but if they don't have the backup support staff like, Splendor or Roman Forest does, then that would be, to me, that is not equal to all of the cities.
We also
So-
have maintenance department heads, stuff like that too. I don't know, where do we draw that line?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, where do you,
And I think, as far as you guys that have been through the program, y'all remember you had to complete an application.
Oh, yeah.
So the organization will be looking at, through the leadership program, they'll appoint a committee, and they'll look at the applications and determine which individuals will attend the training. Our portion, anyone can go to the training. Our portion of it is we're just paying the $250, so it's open to anyone. The only thing, our piece of it is just, we're advancing those funds to, maybe it's cost prohibitive for some cities to do that. So we're providing that tool, that bridge to get them there and come and accomplish that training.
And to me, it's almost like a scholarship for the elected officials because many of them are in unpaid positions because we talked about whether it's a MUD or some of the city positions.
so I don't know where we would, where you would just draw those parameters. I think that if it's elected officials, it covers everybody. Yeah, when you start going into the department heads of all of the different cities, it's not really equal. So for me, I think we should just leave it for the elected officials. Or again, if they want to designate somebody to attend in their behalf, in their place.
And to be honest, $250 is cheap. Many of them are $1,000 or more.
Absolutely.
So I support the proposal as presented.
Okay. Are you making the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Would that include like, say like the president of the East Montgomery County Fair?
If they're
Or the president of the East Montgomery County Sports Association, people like that?
only if they're elected.
Would they be qualified?
Not
No,
elected.
because what we talked about at the retreat was specifically the elected officials. I mean, our thought process,
But they could attend.
a public, anyone can attend, Martin, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's open to anyone to attend and to apply.
That's right.
And just to clarify, we're not the decision makers, it's the chambers.
That's right.
So we're just providing the funding for the elected officials, but who gets in the classes, not up to us.
No.
It's their program.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion by Director Pearson and a second by Director Carlisle to accept it as approved. Is there any other discussion?
I do have one question.
Has anyone of y'all out there ever been to that leadership program? Fred? I've been to it too a long time ago, and I tell you what, it's very exciting, very hard, but you have to work at it. It's not one of these little programs that you just go and spend a few minutes at it and go home. It's quite a lot to it, but it's very rewarding at the end. And I know Rick and them that, but I went through it about 10 years ago. So it's a very good program. If any of y'all would like to go to it, that sure would be good. Especially Guy, I know he'd need to go to it.
Yes, I do have one thing. Is there any, I would be concerned if somebody showed up the first day and never came back. Should we have any kind of protection on that?
There's rules and regulations on that. If you miss so many classes, you don't
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, what is it,
Well,
3? If you miss 3 classes, you're out of the program for that year?
I measure it.
Leadership in Montgomery County is.
We hadn't finalized all the rules on how we're gonna do it, but the intention is, the idea of charging the 250 generally is to get some skin in the game, so it's a good point to bring up. I think somehow you at least need a commitment from the people that you're gonna pay for, because our organization, we want a commitment from them too to show up. So at least make part of your application or something and make them commit to, to it. I don't know how we hold their feet to the fire if they didn't pay any money. But you know what, maybe it's something to try. If we have a real problem with it, we come back to y'all next year and we change it up a little bit. But
Yeah, normally when you pay your money, you're gonna follow through. Somebody else pays for you. It's like when you raise a kid, give them a big allowance, he never learns how to work.
But they are leaders in our community. Hopefully they're gonna fulfill their obligation.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's certainly something we would, because we would have their, well, if we, maybe when you get your information together, if you could just let us know, you know, what's in there, because all we would be doing would be funding it.
Yeah.
If they, somehow they're gonna have to come to you to ask for payment, we could probably work with you to make that attendance policy part of the paperwork they sign or apply to with you. So I'm pretty confident we can work something out to get that in there. I don't think you can hold them to it, but at least it's in there, and then again, if we have a problem with it, you know, next year we come back and we talk about it again and say, you know what, that didn't achieve the goal, we'll tweak it a little bit.
Or perhaps we could just put a clause in there that if they don't complete it, that they would have to reimburse the money.
That's what I.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that would be an easy fix, just if they don't complete it, then they would have to reimburse the funds. That makes them a little bit more accountable.
Yep.
So okay, so we have a motion and we have a second, is there any, yes, sir?
I'll vote.
Oh. Was there any other discussion?
We had enough discussion here.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? And it's unanimous, thank you. The next item is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Nobody? Okay, well, I would like to thank you all for coming out. We encourage you to stay. If not, I understand. Your attendance and your presence is very important. Your input is vital. We appreciate all the support that you give, and everybody drive safely going home. God bless. Recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551.072 Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation pursuant to section 551.071. Leonard, y'all sit down, please. Thank you. We're not recessed yet. Matters in which the duty of the attorney to the district under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with Chapter 551 Texas Government Code pursuant to Section 551.071 Texas Government Code, and economic development negotiations pursuant to Section 551.087 Texas Government Code. We are recessed at 7:30.
All right.
Okay, we are back in session, and it is 8. Excuse me, y'all. Hello. That's my gavel. We're back in session at 8:35. The next item on our agenda is to consider the status. Y'all done?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item is to consider status of modifications to development agreement and status of preparation of second amended and restated economic development agreement by and among Sig Valley Ranch Limited, Valley Ranch Town Center Limited, East Montgomery County Improved District Economic Development Zone Number 1, and the district, and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
Nothing, is that on, Chair? Okay, Leonard here, so I think we had it turned up so Leonard could hear. Okay. Leonard, you good? You hear me?
That sounds better.
Okay, there we go. I think that's what we
I
got.
got my hearing aids.
Thank you, Chair.
Where it was.
Or is it Dale believing? I'm not sure, but anyway. Thank you, Chair. We'll get back to business here. Yes, nothing, no action on this, so we should have an agreement prepared for you guys by the board meeting at the next, in February. That should finally be finished up.
Okay. The next item is to consider status of the development of the district's 12.85 acre site, including the construction of improvements and the leasing of space in the district's office building, and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of condemnation by TxDOT relative to Grand Parkway.
So one thing to report here is Montgomery County Youth Services has now moved in, and now they're now a tenant in the building. So they're upstairs. If you look across the landing upstairs, over where the air conditioning unit is, they're located up on the upper landing. So Montgomery County Youth Services is now moved in and are operating here.
Is John still up there, or is?
John's office is over in Conroe. This is just the office for East Montgomery County, which serves the residents in this area.
Okay.
Yeah. And this office previously was down at the community center, in the community center building, and they just needed more space. So they come back to the facility here. Good.
Okay. The next item is to consider a report on activities within the industrial park and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith, including status of sale of dirt out of future detention pond, including status of contract with TDG for the excavation and delivery of dirt, status of contract with Quadvest Construction for construction of roads to serve Section 3, approval of plans and specifications, and authorized advertisement for bids to relative to construction of roads to serve Section 4, status of plat of Section 3 and Section 4, status of contract with Quadvest Construction for construction of wastewater lift station, status of contract with Quadvest for water distribution and wastewater collection facilities to serve Industrial Park Section 3, status of contract with the National Sign Company for installation of signage on FM 1314, and review bids and authorize award of contract for installation of signage on FM 1485. Hello, Jim. Yes, you will.
All right, the third, I have not heard anything else from,
Catalyst Trading Company.
Catalyst Trading.
There we go.
Catalyst Trading, I don't remember the name of the stand up here. I know they're still talking to, Rebel. Last I talked to Rebel, they were still in negotiations about dirt, moved over. No, it's been awful wet. We've had some problems with construction, you know, versus all and stuff. Everything is going good out there. I don't know if y'all been out there. We're moving. The Section 4 plans will be submitted end of this month. We're all pretty much on schedule with that. Go. Microphone out. Now it is. Is this for winter?
Yeah.
The plat, we have got the plat done. We changed it again. We had a change to the plat because of the sale of land to E-Controls. There's an easement that goes up there to the drill site. We had to take it off of there and move it over to the cul-de-sac, had to extend the cul-de-sac a little bit to get to the drill site. So that's all done. The Quadvest Construction, they won't be able to. No, plat has been preliminarily done. Yeah, but we cannot get it final until we do some other stuff. But it's all, for 3, 4 is being done right now. We just got the authorization to do 4, I think, the last meeting, or the meeting before that. Okay. Quadvest, the lift station, they're scheduled to move on site February 1st. We've reviewed a lot of shop drawings from them and talked to them about them. The water distribution, we can't put that in at water lines, sewer lines until the ditch is done because we're raising where it's going so much that they be on top of each other and it's just better. And we talked Quadvest, they got no problems with extending their contract. The sign on 1314, we met yesterday on site, we located the sign. It's being constructed as we speak at their national sign shop. They bring it out in sections and actually put it in. It will be in, she told me, by February 22nd.
What's the size of it, Joe?
40 foot long, 12 foot high.
12 by 40.
Yeah, it's big, huge. If you go out there, you'll see that we filled where it's going, and they're working on that right now, raising the site up. We've also stuck flagged in where the sign is gonna be located. I wish somebody go by and see, make sure, you know, it's the best that we can come up with, the visibility. So it'll be out there before you know it.
Well, will there be room for the future companies that are coming in?
There's room for, I think, a total of 40 companies,
Yeah, I think somewhere
around 30.
Good, good,
There's plenty of room.
good.
So February 22nd, it should be up.
That's what she told me. And she also said that while they're building the sign, she would send pictures. So if I get them, I'll see them, you know, in the shop. So it's being done. The 1314 sign, I'm sorry, the 1485 sign, we told you kind of want to look at this one, make sure that everybody's happy with this one, and then we'll do that one next. Okay?
Anybody have any
Is that on
more
that?
questions?
on one of the items, back on the road, where was that? Construction of roads to serve section 3. David, I want to talk to the board a little bit about the road powers with the mud and everything, as far as what's required for reimbursement from the roads. Y'all may or may not be aware, the mud out at the industrial park has now been granted powers, road powers. What that does for us, previously we would build the roads and the water and sewer, and we would get reimbursed for the water and sewer, but they didn't have what's called road powers, and now that they do. So the construction costs that we incur now in putting in the roads, we can get reimbursed for. But to do that, there needs to be an election. And we have a site, previously when we set up the mud out there, there was a site where a trailer was put out there. So just so you're aware, if you see a trailer out there, it's not one of our business clients that's moved in. It's just a trailer set out there for an election, so that the election can be conducted, and therefore when we build roads, we can then be reimbursed for that road construction in the future. So it's a very good thing for us, an ability for us in recovering our funds in the future, just so you're aware, okay?
What kind of money does the MUD have in reserve? Do you happen to know?
About 1.3 million.
1.3 million?
I think that's in their operating reserve.
Okay.
But then, David, that's not actually money available. That's just, they have a requirement to keep so much in reserve.
Sure.
So there's a portion of it that's mandated that they keep a certain portion of the operating numbers in there, and it's not like that's all available. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some reserve type.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it all is now. They've spent most of their operating reserves down, doing the new water plant, picking up shortfalls from what they had bond funds available on that, and advanced funding some of these other facilities that you're building now. So they're kind of at the number that they need to keep in their operating account. So the next money will have to come out of another bond issue.
But they're not operating on deficit, you know?
No.
That was the point, right?
But you know, the auditors want to see reserves usually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they've determined they need to keep.
Okay.
So, Martin, I know you had a question. You were going to say something.
Yeah, that trailer, is that gonna be set up like that one out there with the
Very similar. You know, once again, it's
power to it and then somebody's.
sure.
Nobody's gonna be living in it?
Yeah, once again, there have to be registered voters that will have to be on site. That's just the way that, you know, the electoral process is in the state of Texas. So there will be a trailer, and there will be individuals that are registered voters, and there'll be an election to authorize the MUD to exercise road powers. And then once that election is confirmed, then they have the ability of doing that and reimbursing us when we build roads. Correct.
Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, we'll move on. Do you want me to just read all these and then you can touch on them?
Yeah, once again, on items through, really no updates on items I through N.
Okay.
All right, then the next item will be to consider status of preparation of agreements for splash pad sites, preparation of plans for construction of splash pads, and consider status of lease, installation, operation, and management agreements between the district and the city of Splendora and between the district and the city of Rowan Forest relative to the splash pads, and review of bids and award of contract for construction of splash pads and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
Okay, this is gonna get a little a little long-winded, I'm afraid, but I'll try to shorten it as much as I can. You authorized me to bid the project at the last board meeting, which we did. We put together a contract. We had it advertised in the Houston Chronicle, 12/28 and 1/4. We also advertised in the Courier, the Houston community papers that you want to put it in, 12/30 and 1/13. We opened bids on yesterday, the 13th. We had sent out, 4 people picked up, Vortex, Impact, 5 people picked up, Vortex, Impacts, Craftsman, Fundabounds, and Toll and Waterworks. We opened bids yesterday. We received 1 bid from Craftsman, who is in Spring, Texas. And I actually, after we were putting all this together, we got the impact stuff. That's who we put into the bid, like you directed. And we did get drawings and specifications from Impact, but they did not submit a bid. And I called them, they said that they didn't get a bid bond, and it's a requirement of the bid. The bid we got from Craftsman was for a total between the 2 splash pads, $2,601,994.84.
Joe, would you repeat that again?
$2,601,994.84.
Is that for both pads?
That's for both pads.
So that's over $1 million a pad.
Right. The Splendora pad was $1,445,477.09. The Roman Forest pad was $1,156,517.75. That included the recycle equipment in both of them. What I'm going to suggest to you is 2 things. Reject the bids because it's too much money. You know. The second thing I'm going to recommend to you is have a workshop. And all of these people, well, the ones I've talked to Impact, I've talked to Craftsman, I have not talked to Votex or Fundabounds yet, but they have said that they would come make a presentation to you. And I can tell them whatever budget you want, and they can base their presentation on that budget. There is another option you have that David can jump in. He's more familiar with it than I am, but it's called the bid board, and it's buy board. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it or not, but these people are listed on the buy board. Impact is not. I know Craftsman is, and there's a couple other ones that are listed. And what I understand is, correct me if I'm wrong, they're all state approved. They've given their stuff to the state. They're approved. All you do, you don't have to bid the project. You just call one of them. You know, you look at what they got, say this is what we want, and that's it. They do it, you pay them. So that's something we could discuss in the workshop also. So that's my suggestion to you.
I like that suggestion.
First, I think you need to reject the bids.
How come so different? The number, why are the numbers so different?
Between the two?
Well, between what we were talking about and what it actually coming in on the bids.
I mean, I don't know where that budget came from before. I had nothing to do with it. I just did the project based on what Impact sent me, which is what they submitted in their proposal.
And they put that number on it. Was that just equipment, or that was their approximate on the equipment and installation?
That was their estimate of what the splash pad should run, Impacts.
And the numbers are drastically different.
This is a third party person.
We didn't get that
give you a bid, so yeah.
Weren't we thinking a couple 100,000?
About 300.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And if we went a little bit over that, then okay, we understand. We can sort of
That's not a little.
But,
And that's what we told them too.
and that's what we need to do, a workshop. We'll get back together, kind of reassess and go from there.
Yeah, I think you need to talk to, I'll call these guys and have them come talk to you in a workshop, make a presentation to you. I think that's the best way to go.
We actually have clients of ours build a splash pad using the buy board option. I think they spent between 250 and 300. Now it's not, they don't have circulating or recycling water in it, and they may not have some of the features you have. So it may not be an apples to apples comparison, but they did they did successfully build a splash pad using the buy board method. So it is a viable option for what you're trying to accomplish if it does turn out.
At least they could answer the questions if we had a workshop. Do we need to do a motion? We have a motion.
To reject the bid.
Okay.
Mark had a question.
I might be asking the same thing he asked, and I couldn't hear what he was asking, but when y'all went to Orlando and talked to these last people, did they give y'all some kind of figure as to what these things cost?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we gave them our budget, and they decide what they presented to, what we presented to the board is according to what we gave them. So this is a third party who's bidding it, the ones who would actually be building it. So yeah, so we just would need a motion to reject the bid.
I'll make a motion to reject that bid.
Okay.
I'll second.
Everybody second. Motion by Director Carlisle, and I heard a second by Director Rogers. Okay, is there any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. That was easy.
With that dollar amount, of course.
I kind of need to set a date for a workshop so I can call these people.
Sure. You want it now, or can we change?
Yeah, we talked, maybe the 28th, afternoon or evening of the 28th, if that would work for you guys. Lunchtime, you think? Okay. You want to do like a 1:30 thing? Would that be good? Is everybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm good.
28th.
28th at 1:30 p.m.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to?
Observation, I thought.
1:30?
Yeah. Say the 28th at 1:30.
Don't you tell them a budget to
It's on
look for?
Thursday.
What you're looking at, what they can do for whatever?
I think let's have them come in and talk to us first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, once again, I think our parameters, we wanted a tower feature, and then we wanted to make sure that, it included, an area for older kids and younger kids.
Right.
And then based on the components, they can back into some things that you guys may have an interest in. They may show you things that not interested, show you some things you are interested in. So let them come in and kind of see where we go from there.
Okay.
Who we talking about, the people bidding job or the people?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have,
The people Joe was talking to.
yeah, you'll have at least 3 people up here. You may want to take them individually and talk to them, you point out so they don't involve and all that. But Impacts, Craftsman, and Fun of Bounds, I know for sure will be here. Fun of Bounds, I'm not sure, I haven't talked to them. But I know Impacts, I called them, they said they'd send somebody from Canada down here. And Craftsman is just down the road from me, it's in Spring, so.
Is these people that, just what they specialize in doing this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about buying the stuff from Impact and hiring somebody local does Impact build these things too?
Impacts, the products we looked at was Impact's products.
Do they install?
Say that again?
Will they install?
They do not themselves. That's why it goes to a third party for installation.
So they supply all the stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime's good for me.
2 o'clock. All right, we're good.
2 o'clock on the 28th.
2 o'clock on the 28th.
All right.
We're gonna have it here at McDonald's.
It'll be right here.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
I suggest hard chicken, so.
Okay, the next item is to consider status of economic development projects, including status of incentive agreement with Royal Purple.
Actually, on number 15, I'll give you an update. Royal Purple, nothing to report on Royal Purple.
Okay. Status of incentive agreement with Splendora 2090 Property LLC or its assignees.
And as you see, the project, I think the structure is up now. We probably don't have the entire parking lot poured, but the building is up and they're moving along pretty good with that.
Lights is on.
Yeah, lights are on. They got electricity and power now.
Status of incentive agreement with RREI LP relative to New Service and District.
Yeah, nothing to report on those guys.
Status of incentive agreement with Wellspring Midwifery Care and Birth Center relative to new facility in the district.
And once again, they're currently up, not operating, but they're on a limited service basis right now. They're just off of Russell Palmer, and actually they're starting to participate in some community events. They came to the Observer Networking Luncheon just yesterday, and we're talking with other folks in the community. So they're getting out, marketing their business, and doing the things they need to be doing.
Okay, great. Consider report on status of implementation of requirements relating to HB 1295.
Okay, you're gonna love this.
Uh-oh.
Catherine's probably already dealt with this, maybe Steve as well. But the legislature passed House Bill 1295 in the last session, and it's an ethics bill that's designed, or that was intended to create a little more transparency in terms of relationships between elected officials and the principles of the companies with which the governmental entities contract. It remains to be seen whether they've accomplished this. They have certainly created a trail of red tape and paperwork, and we'll see if it's more if transparency is improved. But I wanted to let you know that this is the new game. This is the way we have to. This is the new rules we have to follow. And it takes quite a bit of effort to do so. What has to happen is this applies to any contract that is either over $1 million or is approved by the governing body, the governing board of the governmental entity. In your case, right now, that's most contracts. Although I think perhaps in the workshop that you schedule or at a different time, we might want to talk about what types of contracts are not real important to you to see all the time. For example, a contract to maintain the air conditioning system in this building, or something like that. You might want to delegate to Frank to do, in which case it takes it out of the realm of this, as long as it's under $1 million, and we could craft a resolution that would give him authority in certain areas up to certain dollar amounts within the budgetary constraints. But that's secondary. Let me go back. I digress with that. What happens if, for example, you were going to award a contract tonight for $2.5 million for your splash pads? What would happen is, and has happened, is that we first created a email address for the district, and then registered you by your email address with the Texas Ethics Commission, and then we then created a log book with a numbering system for contracts. So when Joe advertised this contract, we gave him language that explained what the obligations of the contractor were relative to compliance with this House Bill 1295, and then gave him a contract number that he put into the bid documents. If you awarded tonight, you would award subject to their compliance with 1295. It requires that the contractor go on the Texas Ethics Commission website and fill up and complete a questionnaire. And when the questionnaire is complete, it generates a Form 1295 with a confirmation of receipt of it by the Texas Ethics Commission. The contractor then has to print it out, sign it, notarize it, and give the hard copy to the district, and then we have to go back onto the website and complete the loop that we've received it, and before it's final, before the contract can go forward. And this is the process for any contract or any amendment to a contract. So it would, like, if we do change orders, we probably have to repeat it. Just any contracts you do in the future require this activity. And so, like I said, it's intended to identify the relationships. It may make it easier for somebody who's interested to find it, or we may be just creating a bigger haystack in which to look for the needle, except we don't know. There was an article in the paper in the Chronicle on Sunday, and they were talking to the county judge for Fort Bend County, and I think he said that they're anticipating about $1 million a year for compliance with this. So anyway, I wanted you to be aware of it. You're going to see it coming up more and more. I'm sure you're having to deal with it at the college level, and Stephen, you might have, or you will, because the cities have to do it as well. So anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Good luck.
Yeah.
It's what we call an unfunded mandate.
When's all this start taking place?
January 1st.
Well,
January 1st.
14 days ago.
That's why it's in Joe's contract, and I work with Joe. We got the language right. You put that in the contract. We give him the number.
So that's basically going to affect everything we do,
Yes.
basically. Creating more work for everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's contracts and amendments to contracts.
Right.
So if you amend the contract, change something, then it doesn't apply. Like, for example, you approved that you authorized previously and tonight, I think, signed the contract with the county to do the Mission Northwest detention pond, and between governmental entities, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
So we don't have to do it for that. But
So like interlocal agreements don't apply or anything like that?
no, you don't have to do it because it's government. So.
Okay.
So, one thing y'all may or may not have seen in our new grant agreement, that language has every single grant that we do has that language contained on it. So before we can fund a grant, they have to go complete that loop, go file with the Texas Ethics Commission, notarized signature, goes back, David files it. We got to go through that loop of closing through the Ethics Commission any community grant that we fund. So once again, another, disincentive for our grant. We're trying to make it an easier process, and then this pops up, makes it more difficult. So it's just, just so you're aware, it affects everything that we do, everything. So
it's not a difficult, or an extended process. It's just the fact that somebody's going to look at it, I'm going to do this now. But I mean, we did one for ourselves because we were being interviewed by a potential client, so we had to fill one out in case they wanted to sign the contract. And so we went through the process ourselves. It wasn't any big deal. Filling it out, it's just doing it and filling in the blanks and signing it and just doing it.
You only have to register once?
You have to every time.
Every time you do a contract?
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have to register at all. I mean, we're registered. You are registered, right? And as far by your email, we got you a Gmail address, and so that's what you're registered by. But you don't have to register again. It's the contractor who has to do this stuff. And what we're concerned about is price and willingness to bid. If contractors will say, it's just I'm not gonna mess with that one. It's too small. Or I'll just add another $5,000 to the contract to cover it.
Yeah. Nuisance fee.
And then of course at the time we have one person, Kiana, who is trained, and we bill her at the lowest rate of all legal assistants, and she's the one who's managing the law and all of the recordings and everything. So we're trying to we spread the cost of setting all this up among all of our districts. So hopefully that part won't be too painful, but it's going to cost time. I mean, just takes time to do it, and there's no two ways around it.
Is this something that we can refer again to our 28th meeting?
It's state law, it's the law.
Yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about it some more at that meeting on the 28th. We have a workshop, so.
Yeah, I would think you would want, you want to do that at some point, and I think there are some savings, because I think there are plenty of contracts that Frank does currently, like the maintenance on the building and the operations of the building is one example, where you can, by adopting a resolution that empowers him to do that, you can take all those contracts out of the mix if you want to. And so you might want to discuss if you want to do it, and in the meantime, Frank can kind of put together his thoughts on what categories and what parameters. And then you can decide if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not going to, you don't want to give away, you're not going to give away community grants. You're not going to give away large construction projects. You're going to want to do all those, and rightly so. You want to keep that, so we're going to have to comply.
When you think about it, just in the last year, how many articles there have been in the paper, in the Houston Chronicle, about unscrupulous practices with some boards, with contracts going to friends and relatives.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. There's no doubt that it happens. I think, it's still going to continue to happen. The question is whether this process will make it easier for the media or interested parties to discover that happening, or whether it's going to make it more difficult. And that's the part I'm not sure I know yet.
Anybody else have any more questions for David? Okay, thank you, David. The next item is to consider acceptance of nominations for Outstanding Citizen Recognition Award and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith. Did anybody turn any? Well, go ahead, Anthony.
Be on the agenda every month, because it seems to me, because then there's an expectation that we think about somebody. And maybe it's just a path of least resistance, but I would hope that we'd entertain maybe only putting this on quarterly or twice a year, where we know it way ahead of time, and we've got time to really think about it and propose it, rather than every month being on the agenda.
Yeah, because then we're just going to do the actual presentation once a year at our festival.
So would y'all just want to do it, say like, well, the quarter prior to when we schedule our festival, then we would have it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. So David, we'll get with you and coordinate that. And, so we'll,
for now, I'll just remove it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Frank, are we going to get Kelly to resend that form? Remember I talked to you about it, we couldn't download it.
The nomination form?
Yeah, I know when I printed mine out, it's the spacing is off, but it could be my program. I just downloaded it to Word and printed it out. Yeah, because I got it and I printed it out. It just was off center. I mean, it wasn't, but maybe it may have just been mine. Did you, Mark? Did you not get one at all? Did you not get one form?
I couldn't download it.
Oh, okay, because I was able to download it on mine.
I'll print them off for you. Okay, maybe we should just print them.
Okay.
That's easier, just get it when you're at a meeting here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the next item is to consider matters for possible placement on future agendas. The shred day, please. Does anybody else have anything else?
Yeah, one of the things, and maybe for our workshop on the 28th, one of the things we're going to look at is with our festival, we've got some recommendations of what we need to do, particularly for talent next time, as far as entertainers, and also moving our date around a little bit to probably the end of September timeframe, as opposed to so late in the year. And so maybe we want to visit on that when we get together on the 28th, and just during the workshop, and then we'll take some guidance and then go from there, because we need to start locking some people up as far as talent-wise about 9 months ahead of time, and that'll give us numerous other options next time going down the road.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, if not, we will stand adjourned at 9:10.